What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to Freedom Fridays with the Wave Makers. I personally am super excited about our guest speaker today. I was a quiet fan, and now I'm a very open fan of this young gentleman. He dials it in, right? And he's got the vision in front of him, and he's one of those people who says he's going to do it, and then he shows up and does it. And I've been slowly watching his life take that growth curve up in the right direction. And now he's sitting on three super abundant streams. And there's just a lot to be learned from people who have achieved that next level, right? We have to find mentors who have gotten to that next level so that they can, very simply leave the breadcrumbs of like, hey man, I didn't do anything specific. I just did this, this, and this, and everything changed. Right? That's a common theme when I talk to successful people is I was here and then I started doing this, this, and this. And over time, I got myself to being here. So with that being said, I have the unbelievable pleasure to introduce Aldrin Vicente. Aldrin, are you with us, bud?
Yes, sir. I'm excited to be here for you guys. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for showing up. To start us off, man, why don't you take 3 to 5 minutes and just let the crowd know who you are, some of the things that you've accomplished, some of the things that you're going to accomplish, and, just a little bit about your story so that people can get the vibe of who you are and why they should be listening and taking notes.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just want to let you guys know I'm on gallery view and I'm looking at all these beautiful faces. So I'm really big on energy, guys. If you guys can give me your energy, I'll definitely give you mine and, reciprocate that. So if you are able to definitely have your cameras on, I'd love to see all of you be here with you present in this moment. I think the biggest thing, guys, is first of all, before I get into my story, is just I pray that you and your family are staying safe, happy, healthy, and most importantly, positive during these times and what's going on. I think that's just my wish to you guys. I think that's very important, is just positivity, mindset, and taking care of that. But yeah, Mike, Nick, thank you guys so much for having me on here. My name's Aldrin Vicente. I'm out here in California. I don't know if any of you are. I'd love to get connected. But I'm in Rancho Cucamonga. Okay, it's about an hour east, like directly east of LA. Born and raised here, and my background is probably very similar to a lot of people's. My background is just the food restaurant industry for over 7.5 years of my life. So from the age of 15 to 22, I was a busboy, server, food runner. I washed dishes. So any of you that have ever worked in a restaurant can definitely relate. I definitely didn't have the highest grades. I didn't come from a family that had very, a good amount of money. So the thing is I, never went to college, didn't get a degree, didn't get a scholarship, nothing like that. I didn't have the money or the grades to do so. So right out of high school, I ended up getting stuck. I started working 2 restaurant jobs day in, day out, literally 6 days a week. And I had no direction. I had no idea where I was going, what I wanted to do. I just knew deep down that I wanted to help people. I didn't know how. I always liked the idea of being an entrepreneur because my parents wanted me to be an architect. I was supposed to go to architectural engineering school. I studied, creating buildings and blueprints and that type of thing for a while in high school, all 4 years. And then I kind of shifted after high school more towards, okay, I don't want to create buildings. Like I want to create a life by design. Like I want to create something. I want to be innovative. I want to build a business of some sort. And so, like many of the people on this call or maybe listening right now, I dabbled with network marketing since the age of 19. Failed with my first 2 or 3 companies. I did okay. Companies went bankrupt. They got shut down by the FTC. Bad things happen, burnt my credibility. And fortunately came across the company that I'm currently working with full time for the past 3 years now. And I planted my flag and I just ran with it. I saw the value in sharing it with people. And I got super hyper laser focused on this one thing. And I know that one of the topics you guys wanted to talk about I'm sure you'll ask me about it, is like multiple streams of income, right? You know, for me, multiple streams of income is important, but it's not important to be doing all of them simultaneously. Like everybody wants to be the next millionaire, right? And the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So oftentimes we see people juggling this, that, and the other, trying to figure it out. Understand that I stayed focused, like 100% focused on this business for 4 years solid without looking left or right. So I really believe that that's what got me to where I currently am today. But yeah, guys, I'm, average person, like I said, no college, nothing like that, just working in the restaurant, smoked mad amounts of weed back in the day. And that was just my thing, just smoking weed, working my restaurant jobs and playing video games. Finally, I got a wake up call by my wife, Bailey Vicente, coming home one day and playing video games, super stoned. And hey, you need to do something. You got to figure something out. So that's basically where it started shifting for me. Got introduced to personal development and growth, and rest is history.
Wow. I love that. It's amazing thing. It's an amazing thing when we start actually listening to the positive women in our lives, right?
100%.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing that story. And, a little bit for our viewers, we've been running this for a couple months now, every Friday, interviewing people. And the dynamic is, they get to share their story. It's people of success. And then mine and Nick's job is to just pull it out of them, right? We're going to get straight to the point, and we're going to grab the success principles and rip it out of the people who have the results that you're looking for, right? I asked 3 questions. Nick asked 3 questions. We ping pong back and forth. Aldrin try to keep the answers around 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, so that we can keep the flow state, right? Be concise with your words. And I'm going to kick it off, right? I would love to know, Aldrin, what is the number 1 book in your library, right? You have 31 aspiring entrepreneurs, and we know that the books, right? The person who reads the most, the person who has the marker and is able to teach the information that they've learned in the books is usually the one making the most amount of money. So what's that number 1 book that everybody on this call should have read already? And if not, should be ordering from Amazon as we speak?
Yeah, totally. That's a very easy answer for me. Law of Success in 16 Lessons by Napoleon Hill. So if you guys do not know what that book is or haven't heard of it, I think the reason I stayed away from it for such a long time, during the early stages of my business, was because of how thick the book is. It's like 600, maybe 700 pages. Okay. It's basically the Bible of success. And if you guys don't know, like the history behind it, it's actually one of the original manuscripts before Napoleon Hill came out with Think and Grow Rich. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Think and Grow Rich, right? That is basically the watered down version of the Law of Success in 16 Lessons. By far, hands down, without a doubt, that is the number 1 book that I've read that has really impacted me. Mm-hmm.
Very powerful, brother. This is Nick over here. I just want to say thank you, man, for joining us. Super grateful and excited to dive in here. And, thank you for bringing it up again, this book. I actually have it. I haven't opened it in like a year. So that's the next thing I'm going to do as soon as we're off this call. So my first question to you is this, because I can relate a lot with the upbringing, right? And going through high school, and it's about girls and weed and whatever. And we're just lost, right? Lost in the sauce. But there was a shift, and you said that was your amazing lady that helped you with that shift. My question to you is this: when that shift began to happen, usually there are some limiting beliefs that we have to overcome in order to actually become the person that we want to be. What were some of the biggest limiting beliefs that kept you from being that person? And when you began to overcome them, everything started flowing or coming into fruition.
I think the biggest limiting belief that most of us face is like, are we even worthy? Like, can we even accomplish all these things that are kind of floating around in our head? It's kind of like always that thought of like, who am I? Who am I to think of these things or dream of these things? Like, I don't come from much, I come from the family, just so you guys know, my parents had me at a very young age. So my upbringing was, my mom working simultaneously at Walmart and Wiener Schnitzel, okay, the 2 W's, right? So again, we didn't come from much. I lived right across the street from a carniceria and like a little market and stuff like that. And I remember my childhood very vividly, but we grew up in a family where we weren't poor by any means. Okay. So with that being said, there were a lot of limiting beliefs that we are automatically programmed. We are automatically conditioned to, we all know money doesn't grow on trees, right? Or, so it was stuff like that. Or like, oh, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. So I had these negative limiting beliefs about money, about becoming successful, about becoming the first millionaire in my family, any of that type of stuff, driving the nice car, living in the nice house. And so I think one of the biggest beliefs that you need to kind of unlearn and relearn, or basically reprogram into yourself, is the fact that you can have, be, and do anything and everything that you set your mind to, 100%. And I feel like when I really started to believe that stuff, it's kind of like what we talked about right before this podcast. You think about it and you daydream and you fantasize, and then soon you start seeing evidence in your life and more results, and you're like, oh, wow, okay, it's working. So let me do it more. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it becomes a snowball effect, right? So I think one of the biggest things that you guys can override for yourself is you can have, be, and do anything and everything that you want. And don't aim too low, because oftentimes you will hit those goals pretty quickly and you'll realize, wow, I could have aimed way higher,
Spot on. And before you get the mic, what did it look like? Was it affirmations? Was it reading, visualizing? Was it all of the above? Or was there one specific thing that started to help you in that inner healing process?
Mm-hmm. I think for the most part for me, it was the reading. The very first, so I was in a bad state right after high school. And I remember one of my best friends, he was actually the best man in our wedding. My good friend, Aaron Aquino. Okay. I remember he comes home from, winter break. He's in college. He's doing his thing. He comes back. He sees the state that I'm in, what I'm doing on a daily basis. And he's like, dude, you know what? You should check out this book that we read last semester. And I'm like, a book? Come on, dude. Like, I'm not going to read a book. I haven't read a book since high school. And he's like, no, it's different. I'm sure you'll like it. I'm like, okay, what is it called? The very first personal development book I ever read was How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was the very first book, okay? That sparked everything. And I remember picking up this book like, okay, whatever. I go to Barnes & Noble. I buy the book. If you guys don't know, it's Dale Carnegie, okay? How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I remember I literally read that entire book in like 2 or 3 days. It was the fastest I've ever read a book. And I was immediately engulfed. Like I was immediately just like, why have they never taught us this in school? Like, why have I never read a book like this? So I was immediately addicted to reading because of how good I felt while I was reading.
Love that. I love it. There's so much content, man. I'm a big fan of the grassroots story and like the knowledge that's coming out of you and the success that you're able to create. I would like to add that, for those of you who are on the call, I think that sometimes it's hard to relate to that grassroots story. Like some people are on this call are like, man, I can't really relate to that. Like I had a different childhood, but I want you to understand that the success principles and the limiting beliefs are still the same. You know what I'm saying? Even if you come from a different background where you might have had more and you might have had a different upbringing like myself, those limiting beliefs of I'm not good enough, right? Why me? I'm not worthy of this success, right? And I want you to understand the concept is that your parents' success needs to be completely different from what you're viewing as your success, right? The story of your upbringing is really you just telling the story of your parents' financial story and your parents' decisions, right? As adults. But what your story could be is something entirely different. So you need to pick up the pen and you need to stop reading the old book that was, your parents' journey and start writing your journey. Aldrin, I want to take this. I want to stay on mindset, man. This is my favorite question to ask our guests. If you could, knowing what you know now about the success that you're achieving, right, on a monthly basis and the elevation and the different things that you're involved in, if you could go back and start pursuing one skill, right, or start developing in one area that knowing what you know now, like I should have started doing this way sooner. Go back to your 16-year-old self. What is that one skill that you would really plug into because you know that it's going to be mandatory for the future of business and multiple streams and running your own companies?
Yeah, so I'm gonna answer this, and it's probably gonna sound so basic, like, really, like, is that it? Like, but I mean, just for me personally, this is what works. This is what, and it's the most simple route to go. I think back, 16 years old, if I can just learn the power of, accurate thinking, like actually, focusing on and visualizing the things that I wanted. Because see, we all get so caught up in this book, that book, this book. We all know that there's a lot of contradicting information out there. You have some people that are like the hustle all day, grind all week type of people, where it's just go, 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 how, skills, methods, strategies, tactics. And so for a very long time, that's what I was focused on. And we all know that people get stuck doing busy work. It's not necessarily productive work. It's just busy work. So I feel like for me, when things really started to skyrocket was when I actually started to focus on my ability to think, not only positively, but to actually do critical thinking about, okay, most people want to get this done in the next 6 months. How can I get it done in 2 weeks? Like starting to put together pieces of the puzzle like that, or like, okay, if I go this route, it's going to cost X amount of dollars, but what is a way that I can do to minimize my expenses and increasing my, so I feel like if I can go backwards, I think I would focus a lot more on building up my ability to think, to visualize, to journal. I never really did the cards and the vision boards and affirmations and stuff until later. And I feel like when I started doing this stuff is when everything really started to take off for me. You become or get, okay, let me say that backwards. You get or become what you think about most of the time. And so one of the things that I teach my team or implement with my team is 90% of success is your thoughts, your emotional intelligence, your and then 10% of it is the how and the calls and the follow-ups and the prospecting and stuff like that. So I think if I started implementing that when I was 16, I think that would have been crucial.
Wow, that's powerful, man. And I mean, you're sounding like the book. You're literally, and it's beautiful because it's you're living it, right? And it's incredible, man. That's a beautiful answer. I love that. I personally also get caught up in the how many times. It's easier,
Yeah.
And
I feel like now I definitely spend a lot more time to myself, like just quiet, reflective time, like just thinking, visualizing, painting pictures in your head and playing movies and how you would like things to go and how it could possibly be better or faster or more improved. And I feel like these typically flow a lot better for me at night. Like we've all been there, right? Where we're trying to lay down and go to sleep, but like you have all these ideas just firing off. And I'm just like, okay, the ability to have accurate and positive thought is the biggest thing for me.
So powerful, man. That's so good. That's so good. So my question, let's shift a little bit about time. Okay. I think that time as entrepreneurs is the one thing that not only we want more of, right? We want the time freedom, but also it's the one thing that can bound us and keep us from actually moving forward. So what is the best way that you, Aldrin, manage your time, right? And I know there are books, like you said, we can talk about managing and, you don't need to manage. You just be obsessed with everything, So, but how do you handle, wife, family, relationships, business, 3 companies? How do you tackle this one area in your life to keep you effective in making real progress?
I think the best way to answer that is me personally, man, I like to go with the flow as much as I possibly can. Time management is a myth. You cannot manage time. Time is slipping by every single second of our lives. There's nothing we can do about that. What you can manage is your priorities. What are your priorities? I used to get so caught up in wasting time doing the stuff that was not producing income. So what's your biggest IPAs, your income producing activities every single day? Making a call or following up with somebody or putting content on social media is going to be a lot more important than organizing your hard drive or putting stuff in your calendar. Or we all see these people that are counterproductive and they have apps for different things, right? That stuff doesn't work for me, man. Just give me a piece of paper and a pen, you know, like I'll figure it out. So I see people do that type of thing. They want to manage their time and they want to use this app and that app. And I don't do any of that stuff. And also, like what we were saying before this podcast, is stop trying to get a week's worth of work done in one day. That's not how nature operates. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that. Like, fish don't try to swim, they just swim, right? Birds don't try to fly, they just fly. Plants don't need to sit there and consciously think about growing, they just grow. So with your business, how can you implement that stuff? Because you do that, you get burnt out, you get overwhelmed. And then when you're overwhelmed, you're a lot more susceptible to negative thinking. And then your negative thinking is just going to attract other negative circumstances. So I would say don't try to manage time, manage your priorities. Think about, okay, what are the top 3 things that I can get done today that are actually going to get me 1% closer? You know, I have a power list. You know, it's typically 5 things I want to focus on every single day. I would say maybe 2 or 3 of them are big tasks. And then the other ones are small things that make me feel good. You know, rearrange my workspace, clean my car, run an errand that I've been putting off for a while. Small things, because when you do those things, you feel accomplished, you feel good. Like, has anybody ever like cleaned the room and like slept like a baby that night? You're resetting yourself. You're keeping your axe sharp, right? I don't want to go too much into this answer, but here's the thing. You have 2 guys chopping wood, right? I tell this to my team all the time. You have 2 guys chopping wood, okay? One guy is going all day, every day, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, doesn't take a lunch, never takes a break, right? And then you have another guy that does it for 8 hours a day. He takes a lunch, he eats a nice meal, he rests. And the guy, and he gets way more wood chopped at the end of the day. And so this other guy's thinking, okay, how is that even possible? I've worked almost double the amount of hours that you have today and this week, but you're getting double the amount of lumber chopped down. And he's like, yeah, well, I rest, I eat, and I also sharpen my axe. So take that time to do that, and you'll find yourself getting a lot more work done faster.
Wow. If you're not taking notes, I don't know what you're doing. This is arguably the hottest interview that we've had on this call. I'm over here getting so much value. 90% of your success is your thoughts. Time management is a myth. Whoa. Right? But that analogy, let's talk about it. 2 guys, right? And here's what I want to talk about at that analogy is money making is so similar to those 2 guys. I am very much like Aldrin. I spent 14 years in the restaurant industry, and at one point I was working at 3 different restaurants, right? I'd done everything from wash the dishes to front of the house manager, and there were times where I was literally washing off bar guck to go to my second job, right? And putting in full-time here and full-time here and coming out with peanuts at the end of my week, right? I'm hustling and making peanuts, but I had that reward. Something in my brain, my limited belief system, I was putting in a hard day's work, so it felt good, right? And I was working hard, right? Yeah. But this guy over here, he is lounging, he is at home on his computer, right? And he's out earning me 10 to 1. This is when I started asking questions. I'm busting my tail for peanuts, and you are kicking your feet up and out earning everyone around you. What's the secret, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what I want you to elaborate on, right? Aldrin, you're cranking with a high ticket sales item in Enagic with Kangen water. You are on the huge rise in credit repair and taking people from 500s to 700s and setting them up in a place where they can understand credit and leverage credit, financial literacy, right? And then what I would argue is your baby, right? You're quiet. You know, like not your favorite, but like the one that you look at every time and just smile, right? That one, which is your automated e-com store, right? And you have that leveraging off your credit cards and getting you rewards points. So I want you to hone in on those big three. For somebody who's out there and you're hustling, we got people on this call who are still hustling 16 hours a day, working 2 jobs. For those people on this call, why high ticket sales, why credit, and why automated e-com, right? Isolate the 3 things that have set you free financially and just touch a little bit, maybe 2 minutes on each as to like, this is why, this is what it's doing for me. And this is why, and this is what it's doing for me. And this is why, and this is what it's doing for me. And this is the mindset behind it all.
Yeah, absolutely. You see the smile on my face right now? Because we're about to get into it right now. This is awesome. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with Enagic. I just want you guys to know that that's my bread and butter. Kangen water. I will ride with that company till the wheels fall off. I absolutely love it. I love the vision. I love what we're doing for people as far as their health goes. I've seen what it's done for my family. I've seen what it's done for my finances, taking us to multiplying our income over 30 times with just that, income alone. So I love Enagic and I love high ticket sales because, it's commissions, bonuses, and overrides. You get the big fat upfront payments, lump sums, and all that. Plus you got the residuals, you got the bonuses and the leveraged income, being able to make money while you're on vacation, that type of stuff. And I feel like that's where I can really step into my leadership role. And it's that one aspect, that income, that gives me the opportunity to coach people and to give them the support and to help lift people up. I think that's one of my things. That's one of my favorite things about Enagic is helping somebody go from A to Z, like actually seeing the physical transformation in somebody's lives as far as their physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and financial health. Like that's huge. Okay. So that's why I do that. And just so you guys know, as of right now, that's still my main breadwinner. Okay. So that's my bread and butter. Now, as far as credit goes, I've noticed that over the past 4 years, I've realized helping people get these Kangen machines, you're looking at anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. Some people finance them on credit cards. Other people finance them through the company. What I've noticed is there are a lot of people that are struggling with credit. And what I've noticed about people that struggle with credit is they are constantly thinking about it. And oftentimes it's a taboo subject where they don't want to bring it up and talk about it. Like nobody wants to be the one, everybody's talking about traveling and this, that, and the other. And like, you're the guy that has bad credit. So you're just going to, not talk about it. I've noticed that there's a huge problem there and I want to help fix it, because if I can show you how to fix or repair your credit, that is one of the biggest financial pillars. Like what you just said, financial literacy. If you have great credit, even if you don't have a lot of money, you have great credit. You can leverage that. You can build businesses. You can scale businesses. You can travel. You can drive what you want to drive, live where you want to live, and pay what you're willing to pay for it. So that's why I do credit. Now, my automated Amazon store is really cool because I literally do not do anything. It's 100% automated. Literally what I do is I get paid from Amazon. I pay my credit cards. I keep the remainder. And not only that, you're talking about anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 a month worth of inventory being funded using my credit cards, earning me a ridiculous amount of travel points for free because it's not product that I'm purchasing. So you're looking at anywhere from $18,000 to $24,000 a year worth of free travel, so that allows me to travel. It's building my credit. And so, yeah, we have some trips coming up here and I just love it. I think all three go in hand very well. And the reason I'm doing these is because, first of all, Amazon is automated. I think that's going to be the name of the game. Okay. Over the next couple of years, you're going to be seeing a lot about how to automate your business. That's what we all want, right? It's time freedom. So I think credit and Kangen water go hand in hand. And as far as my Amazon goes, if you show me a way to travel for free, even if it's just a couple $1,000s a month profit automated, I can care less about that. Give me my free travel. And that's actually one of my affirmations that I read in English and in Spanish, is that I'm grateful that I get to travel the world completely free. You know, that's a really powerful one. You guys should start adding that one to your journal.
I love that. And Aldrin, that's amazing, man. First of all, congratulations on what you're doing. Truly beautiful. How many years apart from each, like, you know, because I remember you spoke about how you went all in for a period of time, right? Can you dive in just for a little bit on that? Like,
Yeah.
how many years apart, or how far apart all of these businesses came together for you?
So Enagic, I started when I was 22 years old. It was right before my 22nd birthday. I remember it because it was right before we went to Coachella. Coming back home from Coachella, my machine was here. I was super stoked, ready to rehydrate, detox, all that stuff, right? So I did Enagic 100% focused for 4 years solid before I even thought about taking that money and reinvesting it into our Amazon store. That was fully automated, lump sum investment up front, as well as a credit line to fund the inventory. The only reason I did that is because I had a full understanding that it would not take any of my time or attention away from my Enagic business and my team. That was the only reason I did it. When that started going well, and when Enagic really started, I mean, 2020 has been huge for us, guys. It's been massive. So, we're looking at the bank accounts and all this stuff, and we just have money just sitting there. Like, you don't want your money just sitting in a bank account. I'm going to take the risk, take this money out, reinvest it. And so credit is the brand new infant, it's the little baby right now. That's been going on for 2 months now. So I've had my Amazon store since last June. So we just came up on our 1-year anniversary owning that. And credit repair is 2 months in, but the service that we offer and the team that we work with, they have over 20 years of experience combined. So don't think that it's anything new that we're offering. We come from a good track record, and we're already seeing the results for our clients big time.
That's fantastic, man. So you build those connections, and at the right time, you made those chess moves. That's great. That's really great. So
Yeah.
my last question to you is this. You met your 15-year-old self. You're walking around at the park and you see him and you recognize yourself. He doesn't recognize you. You have a few minutes to tell him a few words of encouragement, of guidance, right? To lead him in a better direction than you went through. What would those words be?
That's easy, man. Like, right when you're asking that, I already knew. I would let him know that there is no such thing as half of a coin. There's no one side of a coin. And what I mean by that is, guys, you're going to have ups and downs. It's normal. Okay. The tide's going to be in, the tide's going to be out. You're going to be on the rise. You're going to be on the fall. Okay. You're going to have major wins and you're going to have major setbacks. And I feel like, years ago when these slowdowns or these stagnancy periods and all this stuff would happen, I would get so frustrated and I would compare myself. I'd fall into the comparison trap, looking left and right and looking at all these people that are succeeding. And I would get really bitter, really negative, and really just focus on what I didn't want. And what I now understand is that, like, everything in your life is in divine order. It is exactly as it should be. Like, when right now at the mindset and the mentality that I have around my business and my life is like, when things that seem negative pop up, my wife and I, we smile because we know something amazing is about to happen. I mean, a setback is the perfect setup for a comeback. Like, we had a very rough, I would say maybe 2 or 3 months, very slow, very negative, very bitter. I would say late last year. And one of my mentors said, okay, perfect. Don't worry about it. Go on a vacation. And I'm like, what do you mean go on a vacation? Like, how can I go on a vacation right now? I have this to take care of. I have that to do, this to do. And he's like, trust me, just go out there, go on vacation, drop it all, and just focus on feeling as good as you possibly can. So I remember we literally dropped everything, even in the midst of a crisis or a catastrophe in our businesses. We dropped everything and we flew to Seattle for a couple days. Just me and my wife, nice dinners, driving to the waterfalls, having a good time, going to the museum, doing that stuff, right? And I remember when we came home, it was almost immediately everything had taken care of itself because we just surrendered. So don't feel like you need to put the weight of the weight of the world on your shoulders. Like, understand that everything is as it should be. There's always divine order, and that quote unquote negative thing that just happened in your life, it was supposed to happen at this time in this place with that person, because that is what needs to happen to get to where you're going. So I feel like that's what I would tell my younger self is like, dude, just chill, relax, like take it one day at a time, 1% better every single day. Don't get caught up on the hangups, right? So don't worry about it.
I love that, man. You are such an inspiration, and those downs for my faith-filled people on the call. It's actually a requirement for spiritual development is suffering, right?
Yes.
It is the only way to strip the human ego, right? And to bring you to a place of, I need my higher power, whatever it is that you call it. It is through those times of suffering that is the only ability for our higher power to strip you of your ego and to humble you to the point of, I not only want you, but I need you, right? So those
I love that, dude. I love that 100% because yeah, it humbles you. We're on the rise and we feel like, we feel like we're everything in a bag of chips, right? Like we feel great. Like it's all on me. Like here I go. I'm a beast. But the thing is that there is always a higher source that is guiding you and holding your hand, whether you can see it or not. And like it's a very humbling experience. It grounds you, it resets you, it forces you to take that time to reflect, because life only makes sense looking backwards. And I think that's the biggest thing is it helps you more clearly define exactly what you want by showing you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want. So that it's like, okay, I don't want that. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go this way because I need to stay away from that. And I need to go towards that. Right. Yeah. So, I love that you said that.
Well, we're hitting time for our viewers on the recording. We're going to spend about 20 minutes with the people who are live on the call, being able to open up the lines and ask you questions, maybe something that's on their heart, and be able to create some interaction. But Aldrin, man, it's been a pleasure. Your brain and the way that it works is very beautiful, especially watching what it's been able to manifest, man. You're an inspiration for all of us. And I just want to let you know, from me to you, I really look up to you and your leadership and your walk. That's the thing I pay attention to. I don't listen to the mouth. I watch how people operate and I watch how they walk. And you walk in a very beautiful way, man. So thanks for joining us on this call. If you're watching the recording, we're going to drop all of Aldrin's contact information, the links to his business, in the description of the video. And we look forward to seeing you guys later. Have a great day.